Unveiling the dark sides of homelessness industrial complex. The problem of homelessness is a scam that no one wants to fix. Why? In other words, being homeless is a business. A very small group of people are doing very well with it. Allow me to explain. Okay, let's say you're in charge of a group that helps people who are homeless in New York City. You might be running or building shelters for the poor, or you might be making and giving out food to them. No matter what it is, you are a kind and giving person doing God's work. And you have a lot of work to do. Right now, there are about 100,000 homeless people in New York City. Some of them are children. So, to fix the problem of homelessness, each of those 100,000 people will need food, water, heat, a place to live, and job training to get back to work. All of this will cost a lot of money. The city of New York will look out for you, though. For every year that this problem goes on, the city gets an extra $2.6 billion to fix it. That's $2.6 billion for 100,000 people. That's a lot of money. That's $26,000 for every single person who is homeless in New York right now. New York City also has more than 350,000 empty apartments. There are 350,000 units ready to be lived in, but they might need a little TLC. 350,000 empty apartments and 100,000 people who are homeless. Just think about it. If we solved the problem of homelessness that way, we wouldn't need a $2.6 billion slush fund. That means we wouldn't get $10 million and $350 million contracts. We couldn't keep giving ourselves million-dollar salaries. We can't let that happen now, can we? So what would a sensible person do in this situation? In a world where ending homelessness makes you a fortune. But if you did that, you'd stop making a fortune, right? You would get rid of homelessness right away, because it's the right thing to do, and you don't want to waste money from taxes. Okay, fine. Not at all. You would do everything you could to make this situation last as long as possible, because there is money to be made from homeless people. So please do the bare minimum for the poor. Make them a peanut butter sandwich, put it in a bag and give it to them. Then charge the city a tons of money for it. You want to look like a saint, don't you? A saint who always seems to lack the money she needs to do her job. Like famous Mother Teresa. She did the same way. In the background, you steal as much money as you can from this business that helps poor people. This is the truth that no one wants to say out loud. Because of this, even with this huge budget, the number of homeless people in New York City is almost twice as high as it was 10 years ago. The highest level since the Great Depression. People who are homeless play a game. And if you want to do well, you better do it right. And the more money the government gets, making friends with the most powerful people in your city is the first thing you should do to make money off of the homeless problem. The mayor, the head of the city government, or the person in charge of your city, find a way to become good friends with them. This is because the city can only give out so many contracts to help people who are homeless. And these powerful people have a lot of control over who gets these rich contracts. They also know that these contracts make them a lot of money. They want to find someone who knows the game as well as they do, and who they can count on to give them some of that poor money once they get their hands on it. Step 1. So plan how to get into their groups. You should go to the same parties, give a lot of money to their charity, or buy them some thoughtful gifts. But you want to know how to get them into your pocket faster? That will help you do well in life in general. Make these important people do you a favor. Do everything you can to find out what they want. They might really want to talk to their kid because they love him. There's no need for something big. Just do something so unexpected and touching that the person you're trying to reach will beg you to tell them what they can do to repay the favor. You'll be fine once you have that. Step 2 is to start a group that will help people who are homeless. It could be anything you want. You could run your own shelter, work for a construction business that builds shelters, or work for a food production company that brings healthy meals to the streets. It does not matter. On paper, it doesn't matter what you and your group are doing to help poor people live better lives. Step 3. Now it's time to ask that important man in office for help. These are the new 10 million and 100 million deals that will help fight homelessness. Could you throw it my way? I'm sure he will say yes if you played your cards right. Someone else would he give it to? Someone else he doesn't know. You, his friend and ally? Here in the city, these kinds of contracts with the government almost always go to family and friends of the leader or bureaucrat in charge. Just because why not? Friends help each other out, especially if your friends can do something extra for you after they get the job. Step 4. Charge too much. When the deal is almost done, tell them that now is not the time to be cheap. A lot of money should be sent to you. If they really care about helping poor people as much as they say they do, what other way is there to solve this big problem? If your contract says to house 10,000 homeless people in a shelter, And you think it will cost $10,000 for each person? That's a 100 million contract. It's not going to be looked into. Nobody who works for the government is going to look into how much homeless shelters cost to make sure your price is fair. That means that any number you give will seem fair. Why can San Francisco build a toilet that costs $100.7 million and takes more than 2 years to build? For the same reason. The former supervisor of parks and recreation in San Francisco told that the going rate for a single public bathroom was $1.7 million. He agreed to pay the full amount without asking the contractor the price. In other words, don't settle for less than a huge number. Step 5. You should start helping poor people now that the money is in your account. Too many people will figure out your scam too fast. If you don't have anything to show for all those millions, it will become a scandal. That's not what you want. You need to go work now, but not right away. We can only make money if we do the bare minimum and keep the extra. So only do the bare minimum of what you agreed to do. Remember that the longer we take to solve this problem, the more work we'll get. Why don't you build clean, safe, low-cost housing? Instead, you build death trap homes, where no homeless person would ever want to live. Let's look at this case. In 2019, the Department of Homeless Services in New York was about to sign a new deal with Help-USA worth up to $45 million. That cash is very large. The idea was to keep running the shelters on Ward's Island. 233 beds were set aside in this shelter for guys. That makes a lot of sense. What is real? This shelter has black mold, broken pipes, no air conditioning, which keeps the heat in during the summer, rotten food, and beds that look like they belong in a jail. Help-USA wanted an extra $45 million for it, though, because they were doing such a great job. Really? Come on. Help-USA is the name of the group. It sounds so nice and warms your heart. You might be wondering who runs this important group. Andrew Cuomo, who used to be governor of New York, started it, and his sister Maria Cuomo Cole is in charge of it. What a strange event. After what you had to do, it's time for the big moment everyone has been waiting for. Step 6. Take that money out. That being said, feel free to think of other ways to do this. Other companies that you own can get contracts from you to build shelters or food banks. And you can make a crazy amount of money by charging too much for your services. You can hire family and friends and pay them a lot of money. Make your politicians' family and friends work for you and send them some money. Get a big salary. It can even be used to buy gym passes for your whole group. Because, dealing with so many dirty, poor homeless people all day is really hard on the mind. You need to use the sauna at Equinox to get rid of all that poverty. It's for the sake of your workers' mental health, after all. Let's look at Denise Perry. Late in the 2010s, New York gave her Bronx-based nonprofit more than $10 million to help needy families get food and a place to stay. But where did Denise Perry, the head of the nonprofit, spend all that money? Her car bills, gym memberships, and shopping trips to fancy stores like Tiffany's. She took more than $2.3 million from her company to pay off her huge credit card bills. Remember that you can't help other people if you don't take care of yourself. But why end it there? You could use a nice sports car as a work car to start a whole new business from scratch with some of the money. There are no rules as long as you can show that the things you buy will help the homeless. You can even hold fancy parties with only the best bottle service and DJs as a way to raise money and knowledge about the homeless problem around the world. It really is possible for anything to happen. Jack Brown was very good at this game. He is the CEO of Core Services Group, a nonprofit that has been running shelters for the homeless since 2017. His group got a crazy $352 million in grants, which made it the highest paid shelter director in New York City. What did Jack Brown do with all that cash? He hired people to work for his own security company in his shelters. He set up a servicing business that fixed all sorts of things in these shelters. Flavor Foods. His own food business fed people in the shelters as well. He wired all the money to his own businesses that made money, and he got a good cut of all the deals. How much does he make? More than $1 million a year. This is pretty good for someone in charge of a non-profit. There were also high-paying jobs he filled with family members, like those for his mother and brother, who made nice six-figure salaries, all to get rid of those annoying homeless people. The worst part is that his businesses didn't even do their jobs. One problem was that Brown's security guards were sleeping at work. When people began to fight and use drugs, they didn't even look at them. The repair company for Brown didn't do anything about the black mold in his shelters. And poor people kept saying that. The food they were getting, musty bacon, powdered eggs, and meat that wasn't cooked enough, was making them sick every day. But what do you do when someone says mean things about you? You just lie about it. That's what Mr. Brown wrote to the city. I am proud of what Core achieved. He was living the high life as a wealthy businessman, but the people in his shelters were going through a different kind of hell. And the process is done all over again with each new round of funds. And there you have it. You now have the best business ever. A lot of money is given to you on a silver platter. As long as you don't get too crazy with your books, no one will look at them. You don't have to do any hard work, but you look like a kind and generous saint. Are you shocked that there is a business that helps people who are homeless? I, for one, am not. The video for today is over. We're glad you took the time to watch this informative movie. Make sure you subscribe to our station so you don't miss any of the most innovative videos. If you liked this video, please share it with your friends, leave a review, and click like. Goodbye and have a great day.